Hi, hello. So, the four paths of personal spiritual growth in astrology, according to the Vedic times. This one is about the third house, the seventh house, and the 11th house. And they're called the path through fulfilling your desires and interacting with relationships. And as it may sound like, yay, I can go and, fulfill my desires and have personal growth at the same time, which sounds wonderful, and which it also is. But in the ancient days, they were not so fond of this path because they considered desires and trying to fulfill them and chasing them and as having this as your drive as something that is not part of spiritual path, the spiritual growth, personal development towards more unity inwards in ourselves and outwardly in the world. But if we see how much the world has changed, many, many, many thousands of years ago, this path was only for the people that, could go and leave their families behind and go into a cave and withdraw themselves from society. And this is how it was seen. And we can also see this reflecting in religion. And so it was kind of a solo thing, like, like how you go and meditate and not talk for a very long time. And if you have this in your chart, to do that, then by all means, this is your path. But a lot of people also don't have any planets in the houses that makes you walk this path and have the planets in the houses of fulfilling your desires, interacting with people, being in the busy, busy life. And by all means, if you have this, then don't go to the Himalayas or on a Vipassana meditation retreat for a couple of months and exclude yourself from your environment or from your community or your family or just, life or even your desires. And nowadays, we come, many of us, I think, see it more that anybody can walk this path, no matter what your job is, where you live, how your family life is, um, what it is you're doing in the world. Every path has the essence in it to grow towards this unity in ourselves. And it's available for all, which is how it's supposed to be. And through relationships, it actually is um, very hard, can be very hard, because if you consciously use all your relationships in your life to see them as a reflection of you, to see like what it is that you attract in your life, um, the beauty, the not so beautiful, what kind of behavior comes your way, and all see it as a part of you because you're in the movie, you're attracting it. And it's a long and beautiful and deep way to really go within through your relationships. And it can be very healing towards the wounds we carry. And, you don't have to run from course to course to course for healing. It can be, it might be, um, a downfall or something, or something that we can get attached to, that we need healing all the time. Your life and your emotions, when you're on this path, will tell you for sure when it's time for healing. And you will find whatever it is, or who it is, or method that you need at that time for your healing. So when it comes to the third, the seventh, and the 11th house, if you have planets there, your life will be a busy life, interaction with other people. In the third house, it's all about, your interaction with your neighbors, your siblings, and from even maybe friends from when you were little. And the desire also to create your skills, and with your skills make maybe, a little business, and earn something, with your own skills. It doesn't have to be your big business or something, just, it can be something on the side, like you play guitar and you give guitar lessons to the kids of the neighborhood, or maybe in the local school. And is anything that you are gifted in, with your hands, and with the way you approach stuff with your mind, and you want to share this with your surroundings. And it is also the wanting to be, interested in everything around you, and talking about it and reading about it. And the attachment that we all have, that's so huge these days, and a huge topic with everybody, and especially people that grow up with this, have grown up with the social media and the internet. It's nothing new what I'm saying here, with how we get, you know so addicted, maybe not even addicted, but in need for recognition in this area. And is just, the world got bigger for them. When we were little, it was more, you want recognition just in the playground and with your friends, and in your small circle, and for your skills, and which is so human. But this is the thing with desires, and this is why it's a beautiful path to follow. But when the desires don't come through, and often they come through with a lot of patience and repetition, and maybe not at the first try, or maybe some paths not never ever really quite work out well, and life directs you in another way. We often get disappointed, sad, down when these desires are not fulfilled. And this is what makes this path extra um, challenging, because of there's nothing wrong with trying to fulfill our desires and going that path. Actually, it's a very beautiful direction to follow, because if it's your coming from you, your authentic you, it's just as natural as anything else. And but the difference with the first, fifth, and the ninth path, they don't care about the recognition. They don't care. If nobody likes it, they will do it anyway. And well, if million people like it, is like, oh, it just happened, it's just a consequence of what they do. But when it's the third, seventh, and the, what did I say, 11th path, we really are kind of bummed out when we don't get the recognition, or people reacting to it in any kind of way, maybe even, in a negative way. Not preferably, but possibly. So in the seventh, planets in the seventh is all about um the contracts that we have in life, and even, marriage, and having a child together, and buying a house together, and maybe even, your very best friend, when you have one-on-one contact with very much. uh, you don't have a real contract with them. It doesn't have to be, a written contract, like buying a house or anything like that, or a legal marriage. Anything that seems like you have very, like, you have a bond, maybe even created outside of the physical world, like soul connections, and anything that is the person that you connect with, that is for a long time, years and years and years, them for decades maybe. At least, okay, you can be married very shortly, but that also counts as long as there's a contract and the beginning was there, but also, like, very long. And it's a kind of a business deal because there's a contract. So it's also about business, the business that you have, and um, the sales and that you do, and really in the modern society, go out and do your best in the corporate world is also part of the seventh house. And, well, a lot more things when it comes to relationships. Also, the sex and everything that goes with that. And this is not like just, sex for, sleeping around with boyfriend, girlfriend. So, just going out and then having something, a fling. No, this is the sexual life with a partner. That is kind of a commitment there going on. So, yeah, what's new? There is so many challenges there in our one-to-one relationships, even if it's, when you sign a contract in a company, or um you're not agreeing on everything, and we get so challenged in our in the personal relationships. We get triggered all the time if we are not aware of ourselves, or even when we know ourselves, kind of, or good, and we know our friend or our partner, our husband or wife, or our colleague, not colleague, your business partner. Then, even so, with all the effort we do, we sometimes just, you know, project our own stuff onto the other, and our wounds and our insecurities, our anger, our on the other. And it can come in many ways. It can come that the other mirrors it, or that we do it, or both, or just, it's such a such a huge area to learn in the seventh house. So if you have a lot of action going on there, so like I said, a lot of planets, but also if it is like your sun or your moon, or it is the ruler of your rising sign, your ascendant. For instance, when you have Mercury, when you have Gemini or Virgo there, Mercury is the ruler of your first, for your house, for your ascendant. So if that goes into the seventh house, also near the descendant, very close by, it's very powerful, very important. Also, the ruler of the 10th house or the fourth house of the IC and DC, when they go into the seventh house or the third house or the 11th house, they're all very powerful. And then it depends on the quality of which planet it is, because if you have a lot of planets there, like I mentioned before in the previous videos, when you have a lot of planets in one area, I bet you're gonna have some fun. Can be, I mean, it can be fun, and this area will be lived for sure, but it can also bring a lot of, unclarity, uncertainty, difficulties, um, learning progress. It is for sure there, and it will maybe take all your life, at least half of it. And if you're willing to go the process, and if there can, there can be aspects that make it very challenging, but the suffering is in the whole world, and every person has suffering, no matter if it's like in the planets in the third, my water keeps dropping, in the seventh, in the 11th, or in the one, even in the first, the fifth, and the ninth that are considered like lucky if you have your planets there. For sure, maybe some people have an easier life than others, for sure, but it's very human that we are equal in suffering. And this suffering, through living through it with the time and years and really opening ourselves to it and feeling it and not running away with it. And we do it maybe unknowingly by, life, by focusing on everything outside of us because we're very busy with the kids and watching TV and making videos or whatever on internet or your hobbies, anything. But if we really stay with our grief and sadness and pain and suffering and really allow it to feel the open wound, it sucks, it hurts, but it gets better. And maybe it takes a long time to feel better. And the pain maybe never goes away, but your heart grows and your um, compassion grows and you soften. You understand others better because of your own suffering. So most people who come to astrology are people who have who like answers because things are not going quite as they thought they would go in their life, or they're hoping to find good answers. And most of the time it's like, oh my god, and it's like you know a little bit of a shock that your chart is like, it. I'm a mess. Or I have good parts, but I have parts that are like, my god, how I'm gonna deal with that. Or you get even scared. Like, because you start to discover things that what will happen with you, or maybe with somebody you love, or oh my god, no, I'm gonna get divorced in my life, or it's in the chart of my husband, or diseases. And we have to get in the suffering through life, trusting again that whatever life brings us, that maybe it's not all good, but that we trust it. And living continuously with other people, interacting, being in the middle of life, not shying away of meeting people. It's possible that everybody's different. Some people are more the being on their own, and others are one-to-one persons, others are group people, other ones are big social media networking people. Doesn't really matter, because even when you're the person that needs a lot of space and time for themselves, you can still connect like this, or just by feeling it, that you love yourself and your fellow human being more and more. So then you have the 11th house. You guessed it. That is the marketplace. So a lot of people. In the old days, it was really like going to the fish market and the vegetable market, and still is, but now it is also, the networking. So it maybe is a little bit less intimate, but it can, when you go networking, the first idea that you go there is to make business, to make money, and not to make friends. But of course, it is possible to get really friendly and become friends, because it's also the house of friends. And they can become very good friends, but maybe not so as like the one from the seventh house that are really one to one, like your very best friends or that knows everything about you, that you spend a lot of time with, that you go traveling with, maybe even a lot of times. So the 11th house maybe is acquaintances also, and party people groups, and um, the friends of university and from your later in life, or also your older brothers and sisters, and some family members, but this is not so important now. But the main thing there also is that the driving force of this area and the people is that you want to profit from it. You want to gain. So if you have planets there, is nothing wrong then to gain whatever it is, if it's money or stuff or, some other people's knowledge for your personal interest, because that's what you're here to do. Of course, everything has what you do with it for the greater good, or just, you can do something terrible with it. Still, again, if you go networking and it doesn't work out and people are not interested in what you have to offer them, and you don't find anybody interesting that can help you or something, it can be again the big disappointments. um, if you don't gain profit, if you don't learn to get in touch with very important people, the important, I mean, in business, not like your husband or your wife important kind of feeling, but the feeling of, I know the top guy or the top woman from that and that office or whatever big company, that no, by knowing those people, I profit. It's all about profit, and maybe also um, attaining your dreams in life. And dreams in life, you probably most of the time don't do it all by yourself. There's most of the time a whole team behind it, and it takes time and effort and patience. And it's a desire that is can again take a whole life. And again, if it's not fulfilled, can feel like a bummer. And we learn by not getting our desires fulfilled so easily, or not at all, or just a part of it, or maybe in a different way than we thought they were gonna be fulfilled. By aging and getting older, you feel that this calm coming, that no matter how the desires will get fulfilled, that'll be it. And maybe it's like you're transferring a little bit to the first, fifth, and the ninth house with time, because if your attachments are getting weaker for the desire to be fulfilled, you're doing it anyway because you just love doing it. And not even love doing it, sometimes it's just stronger than yourself. Like maybe you're not even in the mood to do something, but you're like, but I have to do it. And while you do it, it feels natural. But the mind can play tricks on us. It depends, I told about which planets there are in your third, seventh, or ninth house, but also the sign that is there, because depending on your rising sign, which is your first house, you have different signs in your third, seventh, and ninth than your brother or sister or your neighbor or anybody else with another birthday. And this changes the color of these houses a lot. Are we somebody that is very mental in relationships, or very emotional, or very practical, the earth signs, the emotional, the water signs, the air signs, the mind. And even the degree of your house cusp, because this review actually in full house, um, whole sign, but you have house cusps that really look at your life where you manifest something very concrete. And these degrees also tell us about if it falls in your third house, seventh house, ninth house, and which degree. Is it in your third house? You have a sun in the degree of Cancer. So maybe you're very motherly in your behavior, in your talking with your siblings and your close surroundings, and when you're teaching your skills to others, and so on and so on. So the Gene Keys by Richard Rudd is for me, a beautiful way to approach the growth through this path, through fulfilling your desires through relationships mainly, because the Gene Keys really work the Venus sequence with relationships and our wounding patterns in relationships from our childhood, our birth, even before birth, and how we can recognize in ourselves our wounds and our shadow and our gifts and our cities. So if you have a lot of planets, or you feel that you have a lot of things going on in your relationships in your life and in your desires and difficulties and suffering, and maybe suffering is a big word, but in the end it is no suffering. And you can check it out. It's Gene, it's Gene, Gene Keys, like a key from a lock, by Richard Rudd. And you can make a free profile there and get some notion of what they do, and you can check it out, because it's compared with a lot of people that give techniques of help. It is not expensive, and you can, if it still is expensive, you can ask for um, get a great discount, or even for free. I don't know, but I've seen it on the website. So, all right, I'm gonna leave you with this, and I will make the last one about, let me see, the 4th, the 8th, and the 12th house. And then we have concluded the 4 paths of personal growth, spiritual growth, according to the ancient Vedic astrology, using Western astrology, by the way. Yeah, ask me if you need to know what I just said. All right. Have a nice evening. Have a nice day. Have a nice whenever. Bye-bye.